Brewery Arts, though, is an organisation that does lots of things, and the public presented programme is definitely where all of our focus is at the moment. So we're looking at everything that we do with probably more of a sort of commercial lens than, you know, maybe we will be doing in 2 or 3 years' time. But the position that we're in now, it's all about shoring up the finances and just making sure that we're really resilient. So what we do, we work across cinema, live programming, so music, theatre, comedy, dance, festivals, and then we've got a learning and engagement programme as well that we're all really passionate about and really wanting to drive that forwards. Our mission is to enrich and engage the community and to empower the next generation through arts and culture and participation. We've got 65 members of staff at the moment. We work with lots of freelancers as well, freelance artists and tutors, casual staff as well who help us with our bigger events, festivals and things. During the pandemic, we were massively impacted. 85% of our income comes from ticket sales and car parking fees and venue hire and earned income. So when we had to shut the doors, that went. So we lost £1 million that year, and that has a massive impact on people. So we spent that period shutting down, scaling down. We lost 30% of the team. We were lucky to have funding for a capital project, so we did that while the doors were shut, and that wore everybody out as well. You know, it was a sort of a light in a dark time, but it was work. It was hard work. So I think burnout is just a really important thing that we're all considering at the moment, and again, to avoid that, you need resources, you need funding, you need time, you need development time for your staff. I don't know who knows Heather, who's over here, sorry to point you out. She's my brilliant new colleague. She's our finance director, finance and business development, and we're writing a business plan at the moment. Both of us have been looking forward to this day, and yesterday we both said, I just don't think I can make it. There's just too much work to do, but I'm so glad we're here, because without these opportunities we will just keep doing the day-to-day stuff and never growing. So, and talking of finance, before COVID even hit, our finances weren't brilliant. As a ticket making business, you're always, you're selling events, taking tickets for events that happen in the future, so there's quite a lot of risk behind it. We also we've got a trading subsidiary that wasn't doing brilliantly for a while. So we had been, it was our 50th anniversary last year, and we are a strong organisation. It's saying something that we've come this far, and we'll be here for many more years to come. But the business model that we've got at the moment doesn't really build our reserves up, and we haven't got reserves. So we managed to get through the pandemic through Arts Council funding, local authority funding. We've also called on for help from we've got an endowment trust, Brewery Arts Centre Endowment Trust. They've supported us brilliantly. We took out a loan, so at the moment we're really trying to clear all of that. We need to consolidate all of our finances, all of our work, and just think about doing more of the things that are really viable financially, and amongst that we also have to be working with the community and helping the community and engaging people as much as we can. A big side of what we do is the trading subsidiary, and that's actually turned a massive corner. that's trading profitably now. So we're managing to do the purpose of that bit of what we do is to make a profit every year that goes into the charity, and that all goes into our artistic and engagement activities. So for the first time in many years, actually, that's happening now. So that's a really that's a good outcome, and that's been from just working really hard at making it as a really good quality, listening to what our customers want, looking really closely at all the profit margins and adapting and changing. We own a big building, and it's a brilliant asset to have that, but it's also really expensive. So even when we stand still and we don't do anything, it's a really expensive building to keep running. So we're doing we've made some changes to operations. We're still not fully open as we were before COVID. We close on Mondays now. The whole team works from home on a Monday. We're doing little things like probably you're all doing, not using as much heating and lighting as normal, just to try and keep those costs down as much as possible. And it is starting to make a difference. And I think if there was one thing to say that it's really our focus at the moment, it's just monitoring everything really closely. And this is partly, again, it goes back to people, and I think another thing that is really, really important is to pay people as much as you possibly can. We haven't got a brilliant pay structure, but we're really, even though we can't do all the artistic activity that we want to do at the moment because of tight funding and the cost of living crisis, we have to do as best we can by our people, and we're just doing a pay review at the moment and trying to do that at the most generous level that we possibly can, because you have to look after people, but you have to also have really good, talented people to make all of this happen. So Heather's come into the organisation recently and really helped us to look regularly. So every month we look at the management accounts really closely, look at the cash flow, do a forecast, and it's quite forensically done. Looking at the numbers of ticket sales and what art form is doing well, what's not doing so well, how our audience is behaving, and then we adapt. So if we've got the figures and the data really quickly, then we can respond to it, and we can change things as we go. So it is changing our programming approach at the moment. Our audiences are not running out at the moment to see, they're not running to us to see challenging work, especially with theatre. And it's a real shame, because those theatre companies need the exposure, they need the support. We've supported some young emerging theatre companies recently and really struggled to get them full. So it's that kind of decision that we're having to really think carefully about going forward. We can only do that a few times during the year, and then we just need to build on our strengths for the rest of the time. So music gigs are going really well. We're building up that programme. We're getting sort of full houses for that. Comedy is really popular as well. People want to be uplifted and have a good time and not to be challenged so much. Family entertainment, that's another sort of focus area of the work that we're building up. So we're trying to make sure that any potential downtime in our programme, like school holidays or quieter nights during the week, if the audiences are there, if the demand is there, if the community wants us to do things, then we'll put them on. And family entertainment is definitely a growing area in our programme. So just to talk a bit about the industry, because I think what's interesting about the cost of living crisis is that it affects absolutely everybody, doesn't it? So we've got our own concerns as an organisation and as people in that team, but then we work with the film industry, music industry, live theatre industry. They're all coping differently, they're all at different levels of building back following COVID. Small and mid-scale theatre seems to be impacted really badly, and that's a shame, but it's definitely what I'm hearing from colleagues. Film industry had a terrible year last year. It was films that had been made during COVID or just after, and it was quite a weak selection of film releases. This year it's really strong releases, so we're feeling optimistic about that. We're really trying to maximise that, and down to using all of our different spaces. If we're not using the theatre for a live show and there's a really strong film release, we'll use the theatre for a few extra screenings and vary the timings as well. And the music industry, it's really active again, which is brilliant, but bands are struggling themselves, so they're sort of making a call about whether or not they can afford to do a tour. So we're teaming up, and we are working with Band on the Wall in Manchester, which was a partnership that we had before COVID. So we're rebooting that partnership, and working together we can have bands that are playing in Manchester. They can come and play in Kendal. They also put gigs into Brudenell in Leeds, so we're sort of looking at it as a triangle of touring opportunities, and that's great, because that we can all co-promote each other and build a really exciting programme. Audiences and customers, I mentioned about the kind of thing that people want to come out and see. I'd say that about 70-80% levels are what we're seeing, so it's not pre-COVID levels yet. There are some things that are opportunities. So community partners, if there's somebody in the community who has a need, if they want to use a building for something, and if it meets our aims of being a community and civic space, then we're opening the doors and letting people in the community come and use our spaces for projects that they're doing. So I think that's, what else can I say? Audiences and communications, again, that is really a big focus. We have to be putting audiences at the heart of what we're doing, because going back to another investment principle of relevance, if the work we're doing isn't relevant to the communities that we're working with, there's no point doing it, really. So we're going to be doing a lot of sort of focus groups and community programming, and having nights where people come along and tell us what they think about what we're doing. It really feels like a time when we can't be taking anything for granted, including what people want to see. So we'll be opening the doors up and having people in to just share their thinking, what they would like to see from the brewery. And then the overall thing that we're all working towards is just making sure that everything we do is all connected. So the people who are working in the bar and restaurant, they all know why the brewery exists and who our communities are, who the audiences are, and what they want. So we're doing more internal communications and being really transparent with the team about the financial challenges that we're going through as well, and sort of working through it all together.